So proteins are important. Another thing is we have left out soluble fiber. Soluble fiber is a key piece in all of people's lives. And we are one of the few countries who do not eat soluble fiber on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. Other countries eat it 2, 3, 6 times a day, but we don't. Soluble fiber is found in legumes. And the beauty of soluble fiber is that it has the capacity to bind with something called bile. It's fatty acids is what it binds with. Your bile fluids are made out of fatty acids. And the bile that we produce is made here in your liver. And the liver makes bile so that it can carry out the fat-soluble waste. You see, we're chemical beings. The number of chemical reactions per nanosecond is just incredible. I mean, it can't even be measured. It's so many. Wow. And so every chemical reaction that happens, there's the potential to have a waste product. And almost every chemical reaction, there is a waste product. So we have all these, we call it metabolic waste. So we have all this metabolic waste. And so fat-soluble metabolic waste is cleared out of your bloodstream by the liver. Mm-hmm. Water-soluble is taking care of the kidneys. That's another story. So with the liver pulling out all this fat-soluble waste, what does it do with it? Put it back in the bloodstream? No, we have to discard it.
Get it out of the body.
We have to get it out of the body. Well, what plumbing connection does the liver have to get it out of the body? Well, it sends things from the liver down little biliary ducts, which are tubes that lead down, and some goes to the gallbladder, but eventually the gallbladder empties into this part of you, which is the duodenum. And the duodenum is the first part of the small colon. That should already be telling you, hey, if we're in the first part of the small colon, this is the gastrointestinal tract, we're going to weave down through, we're eventually going to have a bowel movement out of this. Mm-hmm. And that's how the liver gets rid of all the fat-soluble waste. Is through having
and that's what we discovered, when Mike called you originally. He was having such severe stomach pain, and you said, well, this must be a spasm of your duodenum. It's backed up, and that's, I think, ultimately, kind of what started his whole awareness about the digestive issue and the importance of the soluble fiber. Mm-hmm.
Of course, now I eat beans 3 times a day.
All of us should be eating beans 3 times a day. It's so highly important. These bile fluids that are coming down are made out of fats because the liver is clearing fat-soluble waste out of the bloodstream. And so when you have something that's fat-soluble, that means it has to be put into a fat carrier. So these are all chemical reactions, again, that are happening. And so then when this fat carrier then becomes bile. Bile fluids are fat molecules. Soluble fiber, which is found in beans, loves to bind with fats. There's a chemical attraction there between positive and negative charges in these molecules, and then they will make a bond, a very strong bond. And then this bond can't be broken. And so all of this bile and all of the beans, the soluble fiber in the beans, travel through your gastrointestinal tract and reach the last part of your small colon, which is right down here. It's called the terminal part of the ileum. And there's something very interesting happens. We absorb fats. So if bile is made out of fat, does that mean bile absorbs the terminal part of the ileum? And the answer is yes, absolutely. All fats are absorbed right here. Not in the mouth, not in the stomach, not in the duodenum, not in the jejunum. So then as we absorb the fats and we absorb our own bile, then all of the fat-soluble waste just got dumped back into your bloodstream. This is a problem. But if it's bound up with soluble fiber, soluble, insoluble, no fiber can cross the intestinal barrier. And so all of this insoluble fiber, which we're not worried about, it goes on through the gastrointestinal tract, and the soluble fiber, which is bound up with the bile, bile is saying, I gotta absorb here, and the soluble fiber is saying, no, you don't. We're going through the ileocecal valve and moving into large colon, and we're going to go out in the form of a bowel movement because I can't cross the intestinal barrier. We throw your bile away. If you throw your bile away, you throw away your fat-soluble waste. If you don't throw away your bile, 90 to 95% of it recycles, and that's a problem.
Well, and you talk about that's metabolic waste. That also includes when you have toxicity in all sorts of fashions, correct? I mean, that's not just the waste from the chemical reactions within the body. That's the waste from your food. That's the waste from...
Yeah, it's definitely from your food. We get caught up into this whole organic issue and, genetically modified foods. People, that's non-consequential. I know that might be flying in the face of what some of the people want to hear is non-consequential. And so the vast majority, if you know, it's from the floor to the ceiling, is waste products that are fat soluble. 99.99% of it is your own metabolic waste. All the rest of it is this little bit of chemicals from your, you know, the food that was raised without, you know, using natural fertilizers. The vast majority of it is your own metabolic waste and your own hormones. Your hormones are vast amount of waste, but that's part of your own metabolic waste.
That's what I was gonna share with our audience. Part of your help with our daughter, who was experiencing seizures as well, is making that connection to the hormone adrenaline and looking at her lifestyle and seeing how, when you were constantly go go go, that adrenaline has that hormone output. Like you said, that's a huge component of this waste that needs to be cleared out of the body.
Absolutely. And if you can't clear your adrenaline waste, these hormones are catalysts. That means they trigger a chemical reaction to happen without losing the integrity of their own molecule. So they reach out, they trigger it, and they go right back into their own molecule shape. And so they don't disappear, they endure. Every molecule of hormones that we make endures. And so if they recycle, they just go back into the bloodstream and make more chemical reactions happen. And not all of the chemical reactions that these hormones are making happen are good. If you continue to trigger a breast cell to grow, because that is done by a hormone, or an endometrial cell, or a cell on an ovary, and you say grow, it's like poking it, grow. That's what these catalysts are doing. Estrogen I'm speaking about specifically now. And you have such large amounts of estrogen, you're constantly stimulating these cells to grow. Well, they do grow. They grow past what the DNA says to grow. And so they grow these oddball little dysplasia cells. With what's dysplasia? It's a precursor to cancer. And now we have estrogen-fed cancers. And it's because we never got rid of our estrogen, because we recycled it over and over. Why didn't we break up the recycling? Because we didn't eat beans, because beans, we don't like beans. No one ate them. So.
Yeah, very interesting.